In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your lower control arm on your Chevy Cruze. It's located behind your wheel. Using a 19mm socket, we're going to remove our hubcap and lug nuts. If you use your gun for the hubcap, just be careful. Remove your hubcap. Now we're going to remove our lug nuts. Remove your wheel. We're going to use a 7mm socket to remove these bolts. Some of ours are rotted, so they're just going to fall out. And some of them are missing, but the rest of them are 7mm, so let's continue on. Again, our bolts are pretty crusty and rusty, so yours should come right out. Using a 7mm socket, we're going to continue our way around the splash shield and remove the bolts. I'm going to leave this one for later. And just take this edge out. And now we're going to go on the outside towards the back. You're going to remove this bolt in the middle. Ours is already broken off, but you should do this one last, along with this one. Ours are broken. And then we're going to remove this bolt here with a T15 Torx bit. And you just want it removed enough so you can get to those two bolts right here where the control arm is. Using an 18mm wrench, I'm going to put that on that nut and we're going to break it free. Continue to take the nut off. You can switch to a ratchet wrench at this point. I'm going to remove my wrench and take this off the rest of the way with my hand. I usually use an exhaust clamp to help me pry down on the control arm and a pry bar inside it, and then just pull down. You want to make sure this is free already in the knuckle. So if it's free, you can continue on to the other end. If it's not free, you might have to put a pickle fork in there, which looks like this. And you put it in, either from the side, the front, or the other side, and you give it a few whacks, and it should free it up. I'm going to use an 18mm wrench on the top and an 18mm socket on the bottom, and we're going to take out these two bolts. Do the same with the other one. I'm not going to take this one out completely because I want to leave this stable. And now we're going to take out those on the other side. Using an 18mm wrench, you're going to take out these two bolts here. You can try to get a socket in there if you want, but I was unable to. Once you get it cracked loose, I'm going to switch to a ratchet wrench. Make sure you remove your ratchet wrench before you get stuck, and then you can loosen up the other side. I've swapped out my wrenches for this now that I can get it in there. You may have to move that sway bar out of the way a little bit with a pry bar if you need to. And do the same on the other side. Now we're going to take our other bolt out completely. Let's remove our control arm. Going to pry down with my exhaust clamp here. You're going to want to clean up your surface if it's rusty like ours. Make things easier. I'm just using a wire brush, and that should be plenty. I'm going to have my 2 bolts ready for this side, and we're going to slide our control arm into place. I am going to put my ball joint together, push up on it, and things will line up towards the front. Let's get one of our bolts started. Make sure you replace your bolts and nuts. These are torque to yield. Once you have one started, you can get the other one started. Now you're going to insert a pry bar here and pry down. And as you do that, you're going to line up your bracket and push. Now we're going to get a punch and steer that bracket in where it needs to go. To break through. You may need to give it a tap to get it through all the way, or use your punch. Just make sure it's lined up enough. Now we're going to get our other one started. It's best not to tighten anything down until you get everything lined up. Pry up again, make sure everything's where it needs to be. Once you get your bolts through, you're going to get your nuts started. We're going to snug these 2 up. We're not going to torque till we're at right height, but it's good to get them tight. Now we're going to torque these to 74 foot-pounds and then go 45 degrees more. Once you torque that, you're going to go another 45 degrees, which is about 1/8 of a turn. And do the same on the other one. Now we're going to go the 1/8 of a turn. I'm going to tighten these up. And now we're going to torque these to 26 foot-pounds and then go about 1/8 of a turn. I'm going to do both 26, then I'll go back and do the 1/8 of a turn. Make sure you remove your exhaust clamp on your lower control arm if you used one. And now we're going to put our nut on our ball joint. Start it by hand, and we'll tighten it down and torque it. Let's tighten down our nut. I have the control arm and ball joint at right height. You just need to put a pole jack of some sort or whatever you're using on the floor underneath here, and make sure it's at right height before torquing. We're going to torque this to 26 foot-pounds. I'm using a crow's foot for the 3/8 drive torque wrench. And remove that, and now we're going to go another 45 degrees. And that should be good. Now you can remove whatever you were using to get it at right height. Now we're going to put this back. You're going to line up your holes and get them started. Line up your hole for this one. Now we can tighten those up. Put your engine splash shield back on, if you have one. Install your splash shield. Make sure you have it above the one in the front. Get everything lined up, and you can begin putting your bolts in. Start your first bolt wherever you feel, but I'm going to put mine here, and I'm going to follow the edge and just put more bolts in as I go. Just line them up. Once you get a couple going, it'll hold the splash shield up for you. I'm going to tighten up these two. You're going to continue putting your bolts in. Ours are mostly rusted through on the frame, so it's hard to show, but I can point out where they go. There should be one here. There should be one here. There should be one here. Now you're going to line up your holes with this splash shield above this one. And you can hold it there with your grommet. We had a grommet in ours. And then you're going to put your screws here and here. Install your wheel. Start your lug nuts by hand. We're going to tighten these in a crisscross manner. Starting with the one on the bottom, we're going to walk the wheel up. Using a 19mm socket, we're going to torque our wheels to 100 foot-pounds. We're going to do that in a star-like manner. And now we're going to put our hubcap on. Line your hubcap up with your valve stem and your lug nuts, like this. And then you can put these on by hand or use your gun. If you use your gun, be very careful you don't over-tighten.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.